Well, hello everyone. You show right here is the Gold Monument 25. I talk about the National Day of Honors. I talk about for how ways to announce. And if we're talking about the advertisements, though, that you have right here are some like that I know that talk about for classmates right here for best friends. But talk about for the Gold Monument whenever a birthday and graduation they come at the same time, and then also it could also be as to where like anything about your achievements. But then I also want to include right here is the details right here of talk about for the White House. And how many of us are going to maybe think that you want to go ahead and contact the President of the United States about something in particular, and think as to where that go to like especially on their phones, as to where if they were to go to the website for whitehouse.gov and just to be able to check out the latest reports about what the White House has to offer, something has to provide you about the latest updates from what's going on in Washington. But still that how many of us could maybe think that if they were to try to maybe call the White House or maybe write a letter, a message to the president. But you have right here is for President Trump right here. But talk about for the Gold Monument that I know that mentioned before is toward that talking about from my previous videos, and one of those is about that there's something else on the cake, and if anybody will warrant toward it, yeah, that's something else on the cake. It's like really to involve maybe the White House, but I know that the White House design that I have right here is also, it seems like, to where it's like a like an American history source of a project, because the way that you got the president right there, and the way the White House is a line guy right there is the White House, and then you see the national symbol of freedom right there. But how many of us would maybe think this, to where if you could write to the president, then what would you ask necessarily? And one thing I did ask, of course, was talking about my source of education. And I know that this reminds me of a dream that I had, that the president of the United States was in a room. I think that there was I was dreaming that I was in a meeting room with the president, and the president was telling everybody about the American people, about those who work and those who want to accomplish their dreams, and of course in my dream that the president did not mention too much about anybody who's going to have a birthday and knowing about for anything which called a special event or some sort. But let's just say that the Gold Monument meant is to where that any accomplishments and goals that you have set in the future, and you want to go and use your birthday as an example. So talk about for the Gold Monument, to where that if you were born between the day and the month of certain time of the year, and talk about for advertisements right here. And and I know that we may have heard that before, to where that if you say refer a friend. So let's just say that if you mention to a friend about something, about maybe a school or maybe academy or something, something like that, about a program that you can go and check out and maybe sign up for. And so let's just say that on your birthday that somebody may ask you, to where, do you know anybody who's looking for a job, or do you know anybody who's maybe looking for a free tax software where they can file their taxes, or maybe for a birthday card? So that if you know anybody who's looking for something, if you can go and refer them to us, and have them come in, schedule an appointment or something. So that's say for the Gold Monument 25, I talk about letter for the president, and for like if anybody were to, or back whenever you were young, that you not really have something like that on a birthday cake, to where that whenever you enjoy the afternoon or the morning of the day that you were born as a United States citizen, to where that the way that you were raised was with the birthday cake, and as well as your ice cream and cake, and as well as opening up the presents with your friends, and then playing games, that sorts of stuff. But by next year, that my birthday may be a little bit different because, like I mentioned before about college years, that the understanding about college years, and I know that anybody who's going to be over the age of 25, who's going to be turning 34 years old by next year, is going to say that oh, okay, the gold monument year, to where you're going to have paid for tuitions, some sort, maybe about a quarter of it. A quarter of it could be paid off, or maybe just that goes by the requirements, to where that if you maybe have a team of about maybe 4 other people that are kind of wanting to do business with you or some sort, but talk about for advertisements. That we see this almost a lot of times about advertisements, and we may even hear about, which I'm sure most of us here will probably say that you do hear about these advertisements a lot of times. But maybe not everybody's going to agree, and not everybody is going to go with the flow about, to where that they hear about something, but they're not going to go any further with it, maybe because that they don't want to bother with it, or maybe because they don't think that they're suitable for anything that they gotta do in particular. And let's just say that if it requires a computer, and I know nowadays with our phones, like if you were to file your taxes online, that you would have something like a phone, to where that you'll be able to go to the websites, and if you have an account on there, to be able to keep updated about your taxes. But talk about for the gold monument though, that really, that I know from one video that I talked about, is that whenever you're going to be advertising, that there's going to be some companies or packages, what you call it, to where that they're going to pay you maybe 20% just by advertising. And advertisement basically means is to where that referring a friend, telling somebody else about this program or about this plan, and here's the contact information. Calls today. Schedule an interview today with somebody, with one of our auditors, one of our specialists, and then we'll be able to get you in for an interview, or get you in for an appointment, and then they'll look over your information. And I know, like that whenever we go to a tax office, that they're going to be looking at a lot of your information based on your case about the source of income, and as well as if you're a student or not. So I know by next year, that I know that's one thing that I'm going to tell them. Yeah, the gold monument story. I am a student. And if anybody will want to, where say for what you're going to want to talk to the president about, is to where, yeah, Mr. President, I am a student. I am a student going to this school, and this is what was recorded on the statement right here, including if it's going to be scholarships and grants, or if it's going to be anything about what you call that, especially on your birthday, that knowing about for what is paid to you from the school, and then from whenever you do wind up getting a job in the near future. So we wanted to where that if anybody wants, is that really that if you could write to the president, you think that would be pretty neat if you can talk to the president about stuff. But compared to talking to the principal, the manager, or the principal, I mean, how many of us think that that's a little bit more, that's pretty neat to be able to talk to the president compared to talking to the principal or to the manager. But still, talking to a manager, you're going to ask the manager a question about something, but still, talking to the president of the United States. And so it's like, say that you're going to write to the president, and just think about what you're going to maybe tell him. Yeah, my birthday is in July, Mr. President, and I'm looking for work, or I'm going to be 34 at this year, and I would really like to know a little bit more about this educational stuff, because I really want to know if I'm getting anywhere, or I have a you may say something to where that you are engaged, you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or something like that, or maybe if you're a business owner or something. But still, that the gold monument story that I'm talking about right here is also talking about about how things meet up, and I know from the last video I was talking about something else on the cake, something else about the cake, to where that I look back from back in 1988, that there was only so much stuff that I knew and only so much stuff that I had access to also. But let's just say that, if you were, if you were to make a speech to maybe a group of about maybe 10 people and introduce them to something or maybe talk to them about something, and you're likely say is that to where how friends meet, how best friends meet, and this right here could be an example right here of a classmate and I, and you're like telling them that your birthday is in July, and let's just say that quite a few, if anybody will warrant to where that, if you're going to be talking to anybody, and let's just say that their birthday was in May, and there's a lot of people I know. If you're going to have a birthday between April and May, and if you're going to have a birthday in May, that they're going to they're going to be talking about on Facebook, and around usually every year around the month of May that there's going to be birthdays being announced, and whenever you hear about these birthdays, that it seems like to where that's most common to where if you're going to have a birthday in May, that people are going to say that they're going to say birthday wishes or a birthday honors, send them a birthday card or something, and post up pictures, especially towards graduation. So if anybody say if you have a birthday in May, that's usually a good time to celebrate, like a gold monument year to where if you have a birthday in May and you're going to be graduating in May. But of course mine is not until July. My birthday's not until July. So you say tell the president that your birthday's not until July, even though a lot of times graduation and tax time is usually around April or May of every year. But still though, that talking about the future though. But for what I was dreaming about at one time was talking to the president about as to where that the things that you're good at, and for even though if it has been over 11 years and it seems like you're getting nowhere with what you're trying to do, and let's just say if you were to ask the president about something such as to where that about your skills, if you're pretty good on maybe solving problems or maybe social working or something, even though if it's been 5 years and nothing's happened yet, then that's something that maybe you can talk to the president about as to where, Mr. President, I have been working on this almost my whole child life, for 11 years. I have been working on this for 11 years, and it seems like I'm getting nowhere. And if anybody will warrant to it, you don't really need to dream about it, but other than that, at some point that you can maybe talk to the president about something and thinking it's to where that you're going to go ahead and write to the president, go to the website and write the president a message, but still that with you talk about the White House, and if anybody will warrant to where that if you go to the White House website and is to where that you go in and maybe like say why would I want to call the White House, but still that talk about for a birthday though. Because by next year, that by 2018, I always wondered to where who was going to be elected our 45th president, and just think about it now since and knowing about what if you're going to be able to talk to people for in Congress, and you talk to them about something, and but the main reason about the gold monument is talking about college years, about college expenses, and I know that. If one of my jobs, of course, was to say is toward that about college expenses, toward it just to kind of explain to everybody about is toward it really, can you really buy a college tuition, or is it just something to where that you just, if you want to call it like maybe like an invest, to where it's like a down payment, you got to come up with so much money and depend on how well that you do, and it's basically. I don't know if you want to call it like an obligation or a guarantee. A guarantee to where that there's quite a few schools that they say that whenever you are attending the colleges, and it's just like if you were to sign a contract, that everything that you do and everything that you are there to go to school for, that it's based on for what you need to learn, and then from your time for whenever that you were attending classes and the courses. So I'm sure most students would say that whenever they look at that paperwork, especially whenever they sign into their accounts while they were attending school, that there's detailed information in there. They may want to get a shorter version of something like that, especially that, that on their birthday, they probably don't even want to read it on their birthday, and they may probably don't even want to read it, that information, especially on a weekend, that's detailed information that talked about for what you got to do and how much this cost, and as well as for anything about, for how long it's going to take for you to be able to achieve that goal, and from whenever you're going to be scheduled to graduate. And so whenever we think about this and combine a lot of this information right here, that it seems like to where that, something's being delayed. And so it seems like to where that we weren't to where, I wonder especially that why does it take, at least 25 years for something special like this to happen, as far as to where that, like what I call the gold monument, to where that if you were to ask the president a question, and the teacher, back in the day would probably say, if you could ask the president a question and the president were to respond, then maybe you would take that letter, maybe to school that next morning and show your class, and show your classmates, and say that this is what the president said, but still that if anybody wonders as to where that about the president, that if you were to ask the president a question, but still that there's going to be what you call that question to where, I say, if you are considered to be a U.S. citizen, but let's just say that, if your question for the president was related to about, what's the good source of way of punishment, Mr. President, about if somebody was trying to cheat on their math test or something, or somebody was stealing somebody's markers and pens whenever they were in class or something like that, or something in particular. So like I say that you from your first experience writing to the president, and you may warrant to where, oh, okay, you're going to go and write to the president, but chances are, oh, okay, if the president is going to be talking back, or if they're going to say that, hey, well, thanks for your letter or something, but so it's been about 2 times since I wrote to the president, and let's just say that you're going to get responses every once in a while, but almost all of the messages I have wrote, where one of them was talk about whenever I go out and vote during the time that I voted for President Obama, that was during the time that I was working on my driver's license. So whenever I got my driver's license, I was able to drive to the polling location to where I had to go just to go vote. And I know with election day, coming up tomorrow, actually, for November the 8th, but still that with it, you're talking about that, and talk about the gold monument story. So if anybody will warrant to it that especially around election time, that a number of things that's going to be going on between my birthday and then that by election day, and for what the gold monument basically means. And I look as to where it's based on mainly it's based on my case, to where if you were to want to go in, while you were a student, and you're going to have a birthday that's going to come around that time, that maybe that you're going to be in school or getting ready to graduate, what I consider the gold monument. This is not really what you call, what I mean by is toward that, oh, okay, the gold monument. You're going to be turning 34 years old by next year, and just think about is toward that the gold monument, oh, okay, that's whatever that's supposed to mean. If it's supposed to mean toward it that you're supposed to be wearing gold or anything, or if it's supposed to be is toward that your GPA score wasn't that great during a time of the semester or something, but still that what I mainly want to talk about for the gold monument is talking about our education, about our country, about the country, the United States of America, and about our source of education. And just to answer anybody's question as to where that why is it that we want to go and pick a birthday as an example of to where whenever you're going to have a birthday, and I think is toward it, because I know that from the past 15 years or so, that whenever I was going to school, that I was out of school a lot of times on my birthday, that I would not even be enrolled in school. But for my college years, I was in school, actually. I was in school during the time, whenever I, on my birthday from back in 2016 and 2015, nearly 3 years ago, I was in school on my birthday. And while I'm in school on my birthday, I consider it to be as like the gold monument toward it, the number of achievements that are going to be happening, and see how far it comes toward that what you call a future is born. And a future is born between now and by the year 2021, and knowing about how many goals and achievements are going to occur then, but between now and then. But still, though, that whenever we think about this right here, and we're like learning to where every year when we file our taxes, we're going to probably say that there's something like to where if you are a student going part-time or full-time, and if you're filing for married or for single, that really, that a birthday, if we all know, and if we all realize, a birthday is recorded on our tax files. Not really about, not our blood type. Not our blood type. Our blood type is not recorded, and if anybody will warrant to it, a lot of times that they go by the birthday. And you say, other sorts of information also, but still, that they go by your birthday. They don't go by what you call, any other source of if I can maybe give maybe a few other examples too. But, if you have blue hair or blue eye, if you got blue eyes, or if you got brown hair or blonde hair or something, or that, something like this is toward that, anything else that they may ask to have just to be able to look up your information and just to be able to see for where it's going so far. But still, that they count that as toward they ask you for either an email address or for your date of birth. So whenever we talk about this gold monument stuff, that what I'm referring to is to where that information about you, to where that this is what you had your mind set for by, for the future, to where a future is born, to where how other people look at your work, and then for how they connect with you and your work. And so this day is not really supposed to be necessarily about is to where that, it's supposed to be a day to where you expect to get about, $5,000 and a tax return, your benefits or something like that, or you expect to get a raise. To think about the birthday. Just think about a birthday is to where that with this birthday that does come up by next year, what I mean by the gold monument year, think about this birthday is to where that if you're going to be in college or maybe starting a business, that the number of things that have happened, number of things that have been achieved. So let's just say that if you are, one of these, you want to go and open up a business, or maybe if you're going to meet and be anybody in particular, and so you'll likely say that, if you want to ask the president something, I would think that would be pretty neat to be able to ask the president something. And you may want to word it, the president of the United States of America, on your birthday, of course, that if you've really ever done something like that to where you want to go and write to the president, because back when I was in school, back in 1988, of course, like I say, that if you were to get a letter from the principal and you would maybe think that there was something going on or whichever, maybe you were in trouble about something or something like that. But let's just say that, if you were called to the principal's office, especially, that they called you to the principal's office, or that maybe that the teacher called you, the teacher needed to talk to you at her desk or something. But still, that how many of us are going to maybe think is that, if you can go ahead and ask the president something, then what would you ask him? And I know that I have talked about the college years, but still one of those are the State of the Union address, and I know that if anybody will warrant to where that, if you want to suggest to the president about what he should talk about during the State of the Union address, by next year. And like I say that besides jobs, but then on the other hand, there's a number of other things that I know the president's going to want to discuss too. But one of those, of course, if anybody will warrant to where if there's any such thing as what you call getting paid, like working by mobile. How many of us are going to maybe warrant to where there's a way that you can get a job doing it by mobile? You're going to go ahead and, Mr. President, are there any jobs that are offered by mobile? Oh, well, that there. I'm like, so yeah, that, are there any jobs? Are there any jobs that are offered by mobile devices, smartwatches and mobile devices? And if there are, then they're like and what you gotta do if there are jobs offered by mobile, that for you might have to make a you might have to submit an application, like talk to the things that maybe you don't want to do, if there are jobs that are going to be offered by mobile, But anyway, you have right there is the White House, the details right there at the White House, with my Photoshop work right there. But, if anybody were warranted to it, if you were to ask the president a question and, let's say, look at the White House details right there and just thinking this to her, then, you go to the White House website right there and you want to go ahead and send a message to the president, or maybe stay informed about the latest updates, by email or something. But really, that most parents will maybe warrant toward it. Really, I'm like, do you even know if you could even write to the president or ask the president any questions or anything? And you're like, well, warrant toward it. It's my birthday, Mr. President, and I would like to know a little bit more information about, about my school arrangement, as well as, for my source of income, but still that you follow your taxes, and I know the president is going to maybe say that. Trying to bring our jobs back, here to America, and, a few other things that he mentioned about, tax reform also. But still, though, that if anybody were to say, if you've heard that before, to where they say that somebody is willing to pay you a little bit if you refer them to a friend, if you tell somebody else about our company, our business, and send. Have them contact us, to have them assist them for anything, they'll be willing to award you with something. And how many of us may warrant toward it? Who has time for that? Especially on your birthday, you post an advertisement, maybe in a, in the post, in the paper or something. I'm like, if you want to suggest us to somebody, here's our contact information, go to our website, that sort of stuff. And, so it seems like that our job right now seems like is to where that we may say is that let's just say if they gave you a job to where that if you want to go and refer a friend to say Trey, hey, check us out today, or if it's going to be related to our taxes, or maybe if it's related to maybe a party rental center, or maybe if it's anything about, really about what you can do, for the world or something, about going paperless, you name it. Maybe if it's car insurance, or maybe if it's anything that is related to, mobile, connection or something like that, or maybe dating sites. So you're like one to where that, for any source of job that you say that people say, anybody. Somebody is going to be willing to pay you to do something. And that's something what we call is to where the gold monument is to where for what if it's going to be discovered, or if it's something that's what you call to where it just kind of came up as an idea that now that they offer this or that, and if it's more convenient for you just to be able to do that. But anyway, but talk about for the White House and talk about for true love, say for what's paid for, talk about North Turikia. So yeah, if anybody has seen from the previous videos, I talked about the gold monument before, but talk about for over there from the White House, or if it's talk about for government and then for for the states, but really about for what is paid for necessarily, but talk about for our birthday though, that with the birthday is to think about the college years. And really, that for our administration, based on our education, though, that there's a lot of college classes that you can take online. And whenever you take these online, there are going to be requirements, right? And that's maybe something that we can maybe ask the president too, as to why is it that they require, and why is it that it takes 3 years to earn this degree, even though we may say that we don't always agree about how long it's going to take, just to pass a bill or just to replace something or anything like that. But, you're like Warren, to where that you thought that maybe it would only take maybe 6 months just to be able to earn this, or just to be able to accomplish this. But then now they're saying that it maybe take up to 3 years. So in the meantime, they might say, well, what are you going to do in the meantime? I can, well, in the meantime, I'll just go ahead and take care of my taxes and work whatever I can, manage whatever I can manage. But still, that, whenever my birthday does come, for the gold monument year that comes next year, and think about the birth of America, and as well as top say for a future is born. But other than that, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.